What is up, everybody? Let's get ready to rumble. No. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today we have one of those rare, random Tuesday videos. In 2 weeks ago, Sunday wrap-up, and then 2 days ago, 2 weeks and 2 days, I mentioned how I'm going to do this. And as you can tell by the title, this is talking about my nutrition throughout my fitness journey, if you want to call it that. I don't know. I feel weird talking about it because, I'm not a fitness influencer and I'm not super jacked and all that kind of good stuff. So I don't know. But a fair amount of you said that you would be interested in listening. So why not? So in this video, I'm going to cover the main sort of outlook on my diet as a whole. And I say the word diet as in like my nutrition. I'm not actually on any diet. I'm a believer that diets are stupid. Unless you have a medical reason to go on a specific diet, I think that they're a little silly. I don't personally think that removing anything from your diet other than like ultra processed foods and stuff like that is a good idea personally. And I say that as somebody who has removed something, so we'll get there. But yeah, so I'm not on any specific diet. But I do, as I'm getting more comfortable and shaking the camera, I do follow a general guideline of what's called like an 80-20 split. It's not something that I made up. I heard it somewhere. I don't know where. But 80-20 split, meaning 80% of what I eat on a consistent, regular basis. Usually when I talk about my nutrition, I talk about a week in general, because there's some days where I'm like 100%, and I'll tell you in a minute what that is. There's some days where I'm 100%, and then there's some days where I'm like 70%. But by the end of the week, basically 80-20. And that is 80% whole foods, 20% everything else. So a little bit processed foods. I almost never eat ultra processed foods. And by ultra processed, I mean like fast food, the stuff that pretty much has no resemblance to what it was originally. And that's usually when I'm hanging out with friends, going out for dinner, that kind of stuff. So, if I've got my D&D Fire and Dice pen here as a mic holder, when I go play D&D, like we'll order KFC, or we'll order like, I think we've done sushi, we've done KFC, we've done random burger thing. I don't even remember what it was. We did pad thai once. I'm just trying to remember. So yes, I do eat like ultra processed foods, but it's very, very rare. Usually only once or twice a month. And so that's that. So 80% of my diet is like whole foods. So grains, like whole grains. So brown rice, quinoa, lentils. I eat a lot of beans. Oh my God, I love black beans. I love them so stinking much. Oatmeal. I like oatmeal quite a bit. Fruits, vegetables. Just the good quality stuff. And then I do take some supplements, and we'll get into that. Because I also have a problem with supplements, but I think that they're great, and I think that they're terrible. This is a complicated video, which is why I was kind of hesitant to make it, because I'm like, I don't know how to talk about what I do. But let's just run through a typical day, shall we? So, typical day for breakfast, I usually eat one of three things. And if I'm working in a super early morning, so I have to be at work by 7 a.m., which means I have to be awake at 5:30 a.m. And I know there's some people who wake up earlier than that. I am a morning person, but I'm not that morning of a morning person. I have overnight oats. So I actually purchased mine from a company called Hollows. So HOLO. I'll try and put like a picture or something here. They make an overnight oat package that has basically all of the things that I would put into it already. Like they've got some nuts, they've got a bunch of seeds, they've got obviously the oats themselves, some spices, some flavorings and things like that. And I just basically mix that in with a cup of cashew milk. I've never been a huge regular milk person, even like long before I started to think about like anything. So regular milk is not something that I consume. It's not a choice not to consume it. I just don't like it, so I don't. I do like almond milk as well, but I just prefer cashew milk, the unsweetened plain cashew milk. And then, so I mix that up with a cup, put it in the fridge, and then that way I don't have to think about it. It's calorically dense with solid nutrition to get my day started. It's a little less protein than I would like, but that I would say for a regular person is perfectly fine. It's just because I'm trying to up the amount of protein that I eat just because I'm trying to get them gains. I'm kidding. I mean, not kidding, but kidding at the same time. So if I have a really hectic schedule, I will have those in the morning. And then if I don't have that and I have a little bit more time, then I usually either make my own oatmeal, which I just take plain like rolled oats. Bob's Red Mill organic rolled oats is my preferred. Oats have one of the worst ratings for acceptable levels of pesticides, so I try and get organic that way. And Bob's Red Mill is just readily available to me, and it tastes good. So I usually use that. I use about 33 grams, which is about a third of a cup. When I first started like eating way less, I weighed everything just so that I could get a mental picture of what I was actually consuming. I do that less now because I have a better idea. Although to be fair, I've actually started weighing things again, but not so I can reduce my calorie intake. It's actually so I can increase it and make sure I'm eating enough, because now I'm expending way more energy. But anyways, this is going to be a long video. I might, you know what? I think I'm going to maybe make this like a two-parter because it's already almost 8 minutes. So yeah, I'll have oatmeal. I'll put in my own hemp seeds and ground up chia and ground up flaxseed. I will also put in some protein powder, which I'll show you what I use. Actually, you know what? No, that's going to be the second half of the video, is the supplements, because this is going to be a long video. So stay tuned to next Tuesday. It won't be a sponsored video, but it's going to look like it's a sponsored video. So I will put in some protein powder. Fruits, I adore blueberries and strawberries. Those are my typical choices for fruits, especially in the morning. So usually that. And then if I don't have any oatmeal, I usually make a protein pancake from Flourish Pancakes. They are the pre-packaged pancake mix that I use. I'll try and put a thing here. And then same thing, I'll just top that with usually some peanut butter. And by peanut butter, I mean like actual peanut butter, like just ground up peanuts. So that there's no like crazy extra added sugars and seed oils. I'm not like hyper vigilant about seed oils, but if I can make the choice to not have them in my diet on a regular thing, then I will. So yeah, I'll usually top that with peanut butter, and then fruit. And then of course it's all accompanied with coffee. I know it's called pens and tea, but it's just pens and coffee now. And so those are basically my 3 solid choices for lunch. Or breakfast, sorry. Lunch is a random mix. Like there's no solid, reliable pattern to lunch. Usually it ends up being like I like to eat like Cobb salads a lot. I I usually like to have some sort of salads with like a chopped up egg, some avocado, like chicken. Sometimes I put in smoked tofu. I flippin' love smoked tofu. I'll put tempeh in there. Basically, eat a bunch of vegetables, some good healthy fats, and some protein. And those are generally my lunches. The sort of like macro build out. Like I said, they're pretty different every day. Sometimes if I'm just purchasing lunch on the fly, I usually will end up going to Cultures. It's just this local place near me, and have them make something for me. They're pretty okay as far as like nutrition goes. So yeah, I'll do that. And then for dinners, usually I will eat like as many vegetables as I can find. I love vegetables. I love them so much. So like for last night's dinner, for example, I had broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus, and zucchini. But I will also sometimes do mushrooms, which technically isn't a vegetable. But I do lump it in. I've got like little cherry tomatoes. So like basically I'll steam up a whole pile. Like whatever you think is for one person, no, triple it. Like I eat a ton of vegetables. I flippin' love them. So I will have all of that, which basically is like, I don't know, 2 or 3 giant handfuls. And then I'll have, yesterday was chicken. So I had chicken with it, some seasoned chicken, and then quinoa. And then I put all of that on a bed of baby spinach. I like to have spinach every day, some cooked, some raw, if I can, just because you get different nutrients out of things when they're cooked versus raw. But almost always, 99% of the time, I will steam my cruciferous veg, so like broccoli and cauliflower, because if I don't, I can't eat more than a few pieces. 1, because I don't really like the flavor, and 2, if I eat too many cruciferous veggies raw, then I find it a little bit hard to digest. But nothing like crazy, it's just I notice. And that's like sort of the typical build out. So about 80%, like I said, whole foods. There are some things that I will eat that are processed foods. But they're whole food based. So I'm going to throw out a company here for a moment. Get real close to the camera. So this is a Field Bar by BPN. It's Bare Performance Nutrition, not sponsored. But if you look them up on YouTube, you'll find a million videos because they're pretty big. But something like this is processed foods. It is not food in a natural form, but it's based in whole foods. So this is what I call like processed food, but not ultra processed food. So the ingredients is peanut butter, honey, protein blend, so milk protein and isolate and whey protein isolate, walnuts, dates, coconut oil, and then natural flavors. And then it gives you the breakdown of like what's actually in it, like caloric wise and macro wise and stuff like that. So stuff like this is stuff that I'll take to work, where this will fill you up for several hours, or at least it does for me. It's quite delicious. That one in particular, the banana bread, is flippin' delicious, but it's a little oily for my liking. But it's processed food, but it's not ultra processed food. So I that's what I mean by like I try and have a balance. Yeah, and then I have to. The biggest thing with like diet and like nutrition is you have to think about things ahead of time. So what I like to do, what I have found success is when I'm winding down for the night. So just watching TV passively, not really paying attention. So right now I'm watching Madam Secretary for like the 3rd time. I really like that show. But because I've seen it enough times, I don't really have to pay attention. So what I do is while I'm just mindlessly watching that show, I will figure out what I'm eating the next day, which isn't that hard. It takes me like 5 minutes because I have sort of built in these routines now. So like I said, for breakfast, I really only ever eat one of 3 things. And I do that on purpose. One, because I know what works. Breakfast typically is carb heavy compared to the end of the other 2 meals, which some people say is bad, some people say it's good. I have just found out what works for me. Because I'm a morning person, typically I eat breakfast and then within an hour I do everything. So whether that's going to the gym and working out, which I find with gym, I prefer to have carbs versus protein or fat, like heavy, dense things, just because I'm able to burn through those carbs a lot faster, and it doesn't sit in my stomach as long. For, like any chores, any running around, like I like to do everything very shortly after breakfast. So I want something that doesn't sit in my stomach too long. And that helps me like just get on with my day. Plus it's delicious. Just is. So 1 of 3 things means that I can then have that out, done, split second. No, don't really have to think about it. Lunches are pretty much the one that like I have to think about the most. Sometimes I don't. It's just leftover dinner and then I take that to work and call it a day. And then dinners, like I said, are pretty cemented. It's a ton of vegetables, some sort of grain, or whether that's brown rice, quinoa, lentils. Sometimes I'll do like a little bit of that and then like add in some black beans or whatever, like some sort of like carb thing like that. And then a protein source. Usually that is chicken, pork, or a vegan meat. So like tofu, tempeh. I don't eat red meat, and I will quickly go over this before I will end the video. I don't eat red meat. That is the only thing that I have eliminated from my diet. Like I mentioned before, I don't think elimination diets work. I don't think they serve a purpose unless it's medically necessary. For me, I have found that red meat does not process in my system. I get very ill when I eat red meat. I'm not allergic to it. It has never been proven medically speaking that I can't process red meat, but I know the consequences that when I do consume it, and when I say consume red meat, I mean like I have to have more than like 1 or 2 bites. If I just like test a piece of steak or whatever from someone else's plate just to like see if I still like it, it doesn't really do much. And like if my chicken is cooked on the same surface as somebody who cooked a steak or a hamburger, doesn't do anything to me. So I'm not allergic to it. But if I consume more than a few bites, let's just say it exits ferociously. So I don't eat red meat. That is really the only hard, fast rule that I don't consume. The only downside, really, to not consuming red meat is that red meat is very high in iron. So I have had to look for other sources. And most of that will come from like some seeds. So like pumpkin seeds, for example, very high in iron. Cocoa powder is really high in iron. So sometimes I'll put cocoa powder in my oatmeal. Basically, like I still hit 100% of, the RDI pretty much every day in iron. I just have to find alternative sources to get that. But yeah, so that's really the only thing I don't eat. It's not, again, medically recommended. It's just, I know what happens. So that's the only thing that I stay away from altogether. But that's the basis of my thing. I do take supplements, and I will get into that next Tuesday because this is a 20-minute video and I wasn't intending it to be. So if you have any comments, questions, concerns, if you want me to clarify anything, if you want me to kind of like slow it down, break it down, let me know in the comments section down below, because I feel like this was rambling, and it was definitely not as short as I thought it was going to be. So hit the like button if you liked it, hit the subscribe if you want to see every Monday and Friday pen videos, and the occasional random on Tuesday. Check out the link in the description if you want to help support me on Patreon. And let me know what you want me to talk about next on this Okay, I love you. Thanks. Bye.